And now,
this is Jeremy Housewright of your Gate City Blue Devil football team, and you are listening to the home of the Blue Devil Sports. This is Gate City Sports Radio.
This is Michael Calhoun, speaking on behalf of the Gate City football and track team. We would like to thank you for listening to Gate City Sports Radio, home of the Blue Devils.
This is Luke Reed of the Gate City football, basketball, and soccer teams, and you're listening to the home of Blue Devil Sports. This is Gate City Sports Radio. Go Big Blue.
This is Suzanne Moore of the Gate City Cross Country and Track teams, and you are listening to the home of the Blue Devil Sports. This is Gate City Sports Radio. Let's go, Blue.
We are the Gate City Cheerleaders, and you're listening to the home of the Blue Devil Sports. This is Gate City Sports Radio.
you are listening to the home of Blue Devil Sports. This is Gate City Sports Radio.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be and however you may be listening to us. Thank you for making us a part of this Wednesday night. You're listening to the home of Blue Devil Sports. This is Gate City Sports Radio. I'm Joe Carter along with Chris Carr. We're broadcasting to you live from, you got it, the Campus Drive-In here on Kane Street in Gate City for our Blue Devils Live weekly radio show. Tonight, we'll break down the matchup of Ridgeview last Friday night. We'll look ahead as Gate City prepares to travel to our rivals in Big Stone Gap. That's right, the Union Bears. We'll have a look back on the action from Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee, as well as interviews with some of our Gate City coaches and players. We'll talk about other Blue Devil fall sports going on as well. And, of course, as you know and you love, it's Tweet It or Delete It. Again, our opportunity to talk about sports. It's not around Gate City, but, again, we'll talk about what Mr. Carr thinks on those. So we'll be back in just about 2 minutes. Again, you're listening live to the home of Blue Devil Sports. This is Gate City Sports Radio.
Proudly representing Southwest Virginia in the House of Delegates for the last 24 years, Terry Kilgore continues to strive and work hard for others. Just like our Gate City Blue Devils proudly represents our school, our town, and community. Delegate Kilgore, a proud Gate City alumni himself, wants to thank the residents of the 1st District for their trust and support over the years as he's continued to voice our needs and concerns in Richmond to make our region a tremendous place to live and work. And on behalf of Delegate Kilgore and his family and staff, they say, go Big Blue! Whether you're headed out to the game or if you're looking for something great to eat, stop by and see your friends at the Campus Drive-In just down the road from Gate City High School on Kane Street. They have a tremendous selection of breakfast, lunch, and dinner items, and they're open 7 days a week. Campus Drive-In has supported Blue Devil Sports for over 60 years, and once again, they are the proud sponsors of our halftime show here on Gate City Sports Radio. Please follow them on Facebook and place your call-in orders by dialing 276-386-3702. Again, that's 276-386-3702.
You are listening to the home of Blue Devil Sports. This is Gate City Sports Radio.
Back here live at the Campus Drive-In on Kane Street again here in downtown Gate City, just about 150 yards away from Gate City High School. Want to bring in the man, the myth, the legend. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he is back in action. Chris the Hammer Carr. Chris, how are you tonight, buddy?
I'm pretty good, Joe. It's been a heck of a week.
Heck of a
I'm kind of feeling it today.
It's Wednesday. It's hump day, so we're on the backside of it again. Less than 48 hours away. Well, almost 48 hours away. We'll be in Big Stone Gap at, again, Bullitt Park, as our Gate City Blue Devils will be traveling to take on the Union Bears in a key Mountain 7 conference matchup. So, before we start, again, we want to say thank you to our advertising partners and sponsors who's helped to make this the 5th season of covering Blue Devil sports a reality. I want to thank Premier Pharmacy, La Coretta of Weber City, Broadwater Trading Company, Farm Bureau Insurance of Scott County, Weber City Drug, Christina Kilgore Wiggs of Conservis Real Estate Group, James River Advisors, Jeff Eads for Scott County Sheriff, the Campus Drive-In, Delegate Terry Kilgore, Greg McMurray for Scott County Sheriff, M&P Repair, Maria Collarbro for Scott County Supervisor, the Law Office of Jesse Walker McMurray, Nova Health and Rehab, Rex Carter for Washington County Sheriff, Elm Croft of Johnson City, and Josh Bowling for Scott County School Board. I want to say thank you to each of them for what they do for us, and again, sponsoring our shows, our opportunities to broadcast, and again, I want to say thank you to each and every one of them. Chris, we had a topsy-turvy kind of week last week in Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. Let's highlight a few. What do you got in Northeast Tennessee?
Well, there really weren't a whole lot of close games. There were blowouts all over the place. We'll start with perhaps the biggest one. The Dobyns-Bennett all over Hardin Valley, 42-0. And honestly, that one could have been a lot worse. The continuous clock kind of ended things a little bit early.
Do you like the continuous clock?
It depends on which end you're on. If you're getting beat by 35, it's wonderful.
Yeah, well, there was some on Friday night, that's for sure. But
there was, but Dobyns-Bennett did come out on top, 42-0. Dobyns-Bennett quarterback Zane Whitson, he's a junior. He went 11 for 16 for 233 yards and 5 touchdowns. Dobyns-Bennett's coach said he couldn't remember the last time someone threw for 5 touchdowns in a game. Hardin Valley was determined to stop the run. They came out, they were filling the box, daring Dobyns-Bennett to throw, so they did. The passing lanes were open all night long. Hardin Valley finished the night with negative 5 yards rushing. An interesting note, though, Hardin Valley was the last team to beat Dobyns-Bennett when they came from behind 17-0 to win. So I wasn't really comfortable until after halftime at that game. I will say, though, the pregame show was the best that there's ever been all season long.
What happened in the pregame?
Oh, there's about me and 600 of my closest friends.
The alumni band, again, that you took place with. Again, yeah, it's a lot of fun, I'm sure.
It was. I missed being at the Gate City crowd, but seeing people I haven't seen in years and at least faking my way through some music, it was really fun. It really was. This week, though, Dobyns-Bennett goes on to face Daniel Boone in what people like to call the fight for the title of the real DB.
Well, I believe the boys from Kingsport will be bringing that title back home.
Well, Daniel Boone has actually never beaten Dobyns-Bennett in football that I'm aware. They came awfully close a few years ago and literally let Dobyns-Bennett drive 80 yards and score in 17 seconds to win. But, that should be an interesting one.
You're talking about Whitson, of course, and for everybody that follows us, especially on social media, he was named as the Premier Pharmacy Northeast Tennessee Player of the Week. He, at one point in the first half, he was 4 for 4 with 128 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, when you throw 4 times and you got 3 touchdowns out of them, that's pretty good work.
Funny story about Whitson. I actually coached him in baseball at Sevier, and he gave me a black eye one time. I was throwing BP to him, and to this day, I swear I was behind that L screen. Somehow he ripped one back, and it got through the net or hooked around the net or something and caught me right above the eye. I went down. He comes running up to me, practically with tears in his eyes. He told me later he thought he killed me. Then he was running over yelling for the other coaches, and I was seeing stars. We still laugh about that every once in a while. It was funny. It's funny now.
Funny now, yeah, as you look back on it again.
When my eye swelled shut and I had to go to urgent care, saying that a middle school boy had given me a black eye was a little humbling.
So Dobyns-Bennett goes to 4-0 on the season, looking to go 5-0 as they go on the road to take on the Trailblazers. What do you got next?
I also wanted to mention the Cherokee Volunteer game. This rivalry is really quickly becoming not a rivalry. The Cherokee once again dominated Volunteer. The Chiefs won big, 49-6. That runs their win streak to 12 in a row in the 40th annual Battle of Hawkins County. Both teams really get up for this game, but here lately, for the last dozen years or so, Volunteers just not been able to deliver.
At what point is a series no longer a rivalry?
Let's ask Florida and Alabama.
I mean, I tell you, is 5 years, is 10 years, this one's about to be pushed to 15, but anyway.
Well, Cherokee senior quarterback Colin Trent threw for 1 touchdown and ran for 3 others. He finished 8 for 16 with 147 yards passing. along with 16 rushes for 141 yards. Trent Price ran for 3 touchdowns and had 129 yards on the ground. Volunteers coach Justin Presley had a really interesting quote. He said, quote, "We made a lot of mistakes on both sides of the football. It was a really humiliating performance from us from both a coaching and a playing standpoint. It looked like a poorly coached team, but that's on me and my staff. We're going to get that fixed in the off week."
Bum, bum, bum.
I just wonder how the players are going to respond to that.
Interesting to see because, Volunteers got some talent. They demonstrated they've got some speed. Of course, you got Dorton back at the quarterback position. They've got a little bit on the perimeter as well. They had the comeback win against Sullivan East, and they've played well in spots. But, yeah, as you say, it's be interesting to see how they move forward with after this game.
I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall at the coaches' meeting on Sunday or Monday for that, but I've got a feeling that was not a pleasant one. This week, though, Cherokee, they're sitting right now undefeated. They're going to Elizabethton. I've got just a little suspicion that the undefeated season may come to a grinding halt in the first quarter.
Battle of unbeatens again at Citizens Bank Park, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
We'll know for sure what Cherokee has. Mm-hmm. If they can give Elizabethton a game, they may have a shot at running the rest of the table this year. Good thing about sports, we'll find out.
Exactly.
Next game I had down was David Crockett in Cocke County. Crockett all over this one, 35-0. Crockett continues to impress me. Quarterback Cade Larkins, he was 17 for 31 for 276 yards and 3 touchdowns, and most of that was in the first half. Because of the continuous clock, Crockett only had 2 possessions in the second half. Larkins right now has 9,339 career passing yards. I was thinking back, the first game of the season, that game that was called because of lightning.
Still doesn't count, does it?
No. And right now he's flirting with 10,000 yards. That really could come back to bite him towards the end of the season.
Of course, if those two teams are locked up in playoff scenarios that they have to go back, they'll have to finish that game. Was it on a Tuesday or Monday or after the season?
I'm really not sure. I wonder if maybe they could even find a neutral spot halfway, but of course I don't know that was it Ooltewah, I believe, somewhere down around Chattanooga. Mm-hmm. I don't know that they'd want to give up the concessions and gate well, they've already sold the tickets though.
Well,
I don't know how they'd work that out, but I hope he makes his 10,000 yards, and that is not a factor in it one way or the other. This week Crockett goes to Sullivan Central. They should continue to roll, and Cocke County's off before they host Cherokee the following week. So that could wind up being a really good game, Cocke County and Cherokee. Elizabethton, again, another blowout. They were all over Granger County, 37-0. This one was probably close at the coin toss.
Yep.
Betsy scored 16 points in the first 3 minutes of the second half. Bryson Rollins was 14 of 18 passing, including 8 consecutive passes to end the first half. He only wound up with 202 yards.
Slacker.
Junior kicker Parker Hughes had 5 catches for 76 yards and 3 touchdowns. But I want to give a shout-out to Elizabethton's kicker. I don't think kickers get enough recognition for their contributions. They're really the unsung heroes of the football team more times than not. They're either the hero or the GOAT.
Right.
Jackson Hawley was 5 for 5 on extra points. That's pretty solid performance, and like I said, they're the ones who go out with all the pressure on them, and everybody's watching them for the game-winning field goals or the extra points that wind up being crucial. So, good job, Jackson. This week, Elizabethton hosts Cherokee for homecoming, which I bet when they set this as homecoming, they weren't thinking about Cherokee being undefeated.
Again, the factual matter, we talked about it on Friday night. Teams that are at home, are playing homecoming, 5.5 points off their season average homecoming night. 5 points. Again, that may not be much in a blowout game, but you're talking about almost a touchdown worse on homecoming night.
And you're hosting an undefeated team with all kinds of momentum and confidence.
If Cherokee can keep it close up till halftime, be interesting to see again. But of course, Elizabethton's so dangerous. But anyway.
Well, Granger this week, they host Sullivan East. That could be a good game for both teams. Both teams are needing a win, so one of them will have to. The other game I wanted to highlight was Science Hill. They defeated Jefferson County, and this score really surprised me, 42-8. Jeff County has really been playing some better ball this year. When I was in school, they were the school in the state. They won a couple of state championships. That was the game everybody dreaded. It was Jeff County.